So welcome back to another episode of the Who Cares podcast. We've come together today to talk about how we can reduce infections in care homes and in other care settings. My name's Kirsty Hill. I'm a public health specialist. I work for Devon County Council and I lead around health protection. I'm just going to introduce each other.
I'm Charm. I'm one of the consultants working for the health protection team at UKHSA Security Agency.
And I'm Tina. I'm the Infection Prevention and Control Lead Specialist Nurse at NHS Dorset ICB.
Hi there, I'm Holly and I'm a clinical lead in the vaccine optimisation team for NHS Devon.
Brilliant. So, Charm, do you want to give us a bit of an introduction about what we're going to chat about today?
Yeah, of course. This is a great opportunity because I've been wanting to talk to care staff for a while about the really important work they do. Very soon we're going to be coming into the World Antibiotic Awareness Week. And I'm sure everybody will be wondering, what's that got to do with me? So I'll explain a little bit. So antibiotics, we all use them. But unfortunately, because we have used them inappropriately, so we use them when we don't need them, the bacteria that we use to fight with the drugs have become resistant. So they have found ways to break these really precious drugs down and to stop them working. So if we use them when we don't need them, then when we actually do need them and we're really sick and our immune systems aren't doing what they're supposed to do because our bodies are being overwhelmed with an infection, we can't use the antibiotics because the bacteria aren't being killed by the antibiotics anymore. So every year, all across the world, people celebrate antibiotics because antibiotics are really special. They were discovered in the 1940s by Alexander Fleming. They're a really special resource and we've been overusing them. And it's all about raising awareness about antibiotics and how to use them safely so that we can keep this precious resource for future generations as well.
It's quite a scary thing, isn't it, to think that we've got this amazing thing and we've perhaps not used them to the best of their advantage.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're talking about care settings where people do get unwell. What can we do differently so that they are being used more appropriately? What sort of awareness do we need to? What do we need to know about?
So actually, one of the things I wanted to get across is that care staff might not be aware, but they're already doing a lot to try and prevent antimicrobial resistance. And the reason I say that is they do take the infection prevention very seriously.
It's quite a scary thing, isn't it? It's a bit like we talk about climate change. It's really big.
It's a big thing,
understanding what your role within that is,
exactly.
I think, really helps. And it's like you say, there's lots that people are already doing based on advice that you give from infection prevention control and around vaccinations. So I think it's really good for people to understand they're already doing some of the things that we need them to do and they're already playing that role. Yeah,
it's not all doom and gloom. You're already doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it's recognising that what you're doing every time you're washing your hands, wearing your personal protective equipment and stopping the spread of infections, you are helping to reduce the level of infection in your community. And I think Tina came up with the phrase, less infections, less antibiotics, more time for care. I think that's what you're saying, Tina?
Absolutely. I think the message is very clear. If you can prevent infections, you can prevent use of the antibiotics to treat those infections, which then consequently can lower the risk of antimicrobial resistance because, like Cham said, once you have got an infection and you are resistant to the treatment, it's extremely difficult and hard to treat. And obviously that has got a significant impact on residents and other people's health.
So what sort of things, we've talked about hand washing, what other things can we do to help prevent the resistance occurring?
I think from a infection prevention point of view, there's so much that you can do. I mean, the hand hygiene is the most significant and most important aspects when it comes to infection prevention measures.
And what are we talking about when we're talking about hand washing? We were talking about happy birthday singing earlier, weren't we?
Yes, we
were. That's a bit triggering for some people, but it's important, isn't it? These things
do my children remember that.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yes. Washing your hands properly, so it's supposed to be 30 seconds at least, so that's why we were talking about happy birthday. Singing happy birthday twice is the length of time. But you're an expert in infection control.
No, absolutely, and hand hygiene it's crucial. But what's really important is not just the hand hygiene and educating the staff, but also the residents and their loved one as well. And of course, people behind the scenes. So, your domestic staff, your chefs, etc. So it needs to be really part of everyone's day-to-day care. And people quite often forget about the importance of actually drying your hands. Because obviously when we talk about microorganisms, they like to thrive in a warm and wet environment. So the significance and the importance really need to come to the drying your hands effectively at the same time as just washing them with soap and a warm water.
So does it matter whether you use hand dryers or towels? Is there a better way, or does it not matter? Is it just purely get them dry?
It depends where you work. The evidence support use of dry hand paper tissues rather than the air dryer, because obviously if you've got the air dryer it can spread the microorganisms further, but it just depends on the facilities and really doing that risk assessment to what the risk is to others, so it varies.
And what's available as well. I
Absolutely.
suppose if there's a carer going into somebody's house and caring for their client, they might not always have those facilities, and maybe the towels might not even be clean, so supporting the resident in having clean towels available for the staff and themselves.
It's great what you say actually about it's not just about the care staff that are caring for the individuals, but about the individuals themselves, all the staff in the setting, regardless of what their role is, and also the visitors. I think that's a really good message to get across, isn't it? Actually, there's things that they can really do to help their loved ones whilst they're in there and beyond. So we talked about hand hygiene. What other things can we do? We'll talk a little bit more in one of our later podcasts in the series around vaccinations, but that's really important too, isn't it? Because it's another amazing way to prevent infections.
It's one of the most it's one of the miracles of modern medicine, really, and it's an amazing way to prevent infections. All you do is you're boosting your immune system to fight infections when they meet these bugs. Every year there's flu vaccinations, there's COVID vaccinations now as well, and Holly will talk a little bit in a bit more detail. But again, what you're doing is preventing infections. So if you're preventing infections in the community, flu and COVID are viruses, but you're preventing those viruses, and the viral infections can then lead on to having bad pneumonias and bacterial infections. So you're preventing those as well. So vaccines have a huge impact on reducing antimicrobial resistance by preventing infections.
And there's always going to be times, isn't there, where people do get infections and they're going to need to take antibiotics. We're not saying it's something you should never do. It's about using them exactly in the right way, the way that they're prescribed, making sure we take them all. So what is the right way? So obviously you'd like to make sure you're doing that right, and you should be getting advice from your pharmacist and your GP. But what are we talking about when we talk about using antibiotics correctly?
So don't keep them in your cupboard. I don't know whether people do that still. But when you have antibiotics prescribed to you, take them exactly the way they've been prescribed. So doctors, the GPs will get given guidelines as to how much, as in the dose, and for how long antibiotics should be given. So they are following national guidelines, which is from scientific evidence as to what is the right drug for the right infection. So follow those instructions. And absolutely, when there are some infections where you absolutely do need antibiotics to get better, and you must go and see your doctor and get antibiotics and take them as you need it. I don't know whether this has happened to you, but once you get an infection, you take the antibiotics, and after a few days you start to feel better, right?
Oh yes, I've heard this before.
Yeah, exactly. So when you start to feel better, you forget to take your antibiotics. And that's really bad, because all you're doing is you're killing the bacteria that have been, the low-hanging fruit, if you like.
Yeah.
But there might still be some bacteria there that haven't been killed off yet. So again, if you've been given it for 5 days, take it for 5 days. We've all got mobile phones now, mostly. So put a timer on, put an alarm on, so that you don't forget when you're feeling better.
And it's really important, isn't it? 'Cause we're saying, taking them appropriately, but actually we want to reduce the amount of use. So some people might think if we've got it for 7 days, or I feel all right after 4 or 5, I'll stop. Actually, what you're saying there is it's counterproductive, because the chances are you may well become ill again. You might not have killed everything off, and actually your body is then having to do things it wouldn't have to do. And
Exactly.
there are times, aren't there, when, not always, you don't always need antibiotics. There are obviously times when you absolutely do need them, but everybody's different and our immune systems are different, but our immune systems can fight infections. It's not
Absolutely.
an immediate thing. If you have an infection, you need it. Obviously, we're talking about a more vulnerable group, so they might be more in need of antibiotics than perhaps a younger population, but our bodies are designed to do that, aren't they? And all the things we do around keeping healthy, our vaccinations, everything, boost our immune system to enable us to fight those infections, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really glad you said that we don't need antibiotics for every single infection, because for minor illnesses you don't need antibiotics, and they'll actually do absolutely nothing. So common colds and coughs, very common in the winter. They're mostly caused by viruses. Pretty much all of them probably caused by viruses. So if you've got a cough and it's going on for a while, if you've got a cold, actually your GP might not give you the medicine that you're asking for, because you don't need it, because your body is fighting that virus. It's only for severe infections that you should be having antibiotics.
And that will help, won't it, with the resistance? Our body doing that work itself and not taking those antibiotics, is all those little things come together, don't they?
Yeah.
To help. Okay. Is there anything else we can think that you can suggest that is important in care homes in terms of preventing infections to sort of help us use less antibiotics?
Well, Tina's here
Wow.
to talk about hydration later on.
Absolutely, hydration will be playing a huge impact on antimicrobial resistance, but I'm going to go into a bit more details in a separate podcast. But certainly there's, apart from hydration, which is very simple, there's other measures, and we're talking about the respiratory hygiene as well, particularly going into the winter period. So it's really about education of the staff and the residents. But I think what's really important is really to make sure that you've got that cleanliness around the care home as well, and around your environment. So yeah, there's a lot you can do to prevent the infections.
And again, you talk about sort of respiratory hygiene, again, working with visitors as well, so that people can come in safely and visit, and they know when not to come in if they're not feeling particularly well, just to keep everybody well, the staff and the residents and the visitors as well.
Yeah, that's where the communication really comes in. And we've learned from the previous years how that is really important. The messages need to be really clear that, coming into the winter, whether we've got respiratory infections or noroviruses, it's really making sure that if you are unwell, you do not come to that environment, because you're protecting not just yourself, but also the vulnerable people in the care homes.
Yeah. And the staff too,
And the staff.
because we need the staff there, don't we? We need them because they need to be...
Need them to be
there.
well.
Yeah, we need them to be well, so they can care for our loved ones if they're there. So what else can we do? So I've got here about antibiotic guardians. Charm, do you want to explain a little bit more what that's about?
Yes, so if you just put Antibiotic Guardian into Google, it'll take you to a website called Antibiotic Guardian, and there's lots of information there about antibiotics, infection control. There's videos there, all sorts of resources. So if you're interested, do go and have a look. And if you want to, you can make a pledge. So when I started this job nearly 10 years ago now, I made a pledge to say that I would spread the word, and this is what I'm doing here. I got my 5-year-old son to make a pledge. He's not 5 anymore. But he made a pledge to wash his hands properly every time he washed his hands. So anybody can make a pledge. So go and have a look at it and make a pledge.
No, that's a great idea.
I like the fact that you can also encourage your family members to do it as well,
absolutely.
and that spreads the word, and then maybe he tells his friends
Yes.
about what he does,
Yeah.
and then they listen to him.
Maybe he
So-
takes it back to school and spread it in a
Yeah,
classroom.
you never know, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
funny, isn't it? Because it does, to me anyway, even in the job that I do, antimicrobial resistance feels like a really big and unwieldy, and in sort of public health world, we'd sort of call it a wicked problem that's really hard to solve. But when you take it right down to the basics and things like that, where you can get children just to say, well, I'm just going to wash my hands properly, actually just little things like that, or parents taking their children for their vaccinations when they're due, or, care homes helping elderly get them when they're due, and all those things that we kind of do anyway, if we do those things really well, actually they're all things we can do, and it almost takes the scariness out of it. It is a scary topic, but it gives us things that we can be doing proactively all the time.
We can all do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So we're going to do 2 more podcasts. We're going to do a little bit about the hydration project that Tina talked about, a bit of a case study around that in a care setting, and we're going to do something around immunisations.
Absolutely.
But I think basically the main message we've talked about today is ensuring when we do take antibiotics, take them as they're prescribed, take them for the whole course that we're giving them for, even if we start to feel well, and don't save them for next time.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.